Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. As was previously mentioned, I am Dominick Olivanti. I'm the communications manager for Arrowhead Transit. I have been with the team now for 2 years. I'm a St. Cloud State grad, and I'm a Virginia high school grad. So I'm back, and I'm happy to be back. And I've come to Ely, camped in the Boundary Waters many a time, and am proud and privileged to be here today. So thank you so much for having me. And I'm really excited to get to talk to you about Arrowhead Transit. Quick introduction on our team. So this is a brief overview of the team that directly impacts the Ely area. Right here on the left is the executive director of Arrowhead Transit. This is Brandon Nurmi. He's been with the team now for 23 years. He started out as a part-time bus driver and has since worked to a full-time bus driver, and then up to safety and training manager, to a transit manager, and now he is the executive director of the entire company. He was going to be here with us today, except for he got called to Washington, D.C. to testify in front of Congress on a rural transportation issue. And so we are proud to say that he's not here with us because he is testifying at our nation's capital right now, which is really cool. Yeah. He's working on some really cool bipartisan legislation that I can talk to you about in a little bit. Next is our Assistant Director of Operations. That's Sandra Wheelacore. She's been with the team now for 11 years. She started out as a transit manager in the Itasca County area. She managed Coochin County, Itasca County, Carleton County, and Aiken counties for 10 years, and then has since moved up into the Assistant Director of Operations role for the last year. And we're happy to have her now in our corporate headquartered office of Gilbert. And then with me today is recently elected Mayor of Eveleth, Adam Rowan. And he is the transit manager of St. Louis County, Lake County, and Cook County. So all of the Finland and Two Harbors and North Shore that we were just speaking about, he also manages all of the transit routes there as well. And then you have myself. And like I said, I've been here with the team for 2 years. And I want to get into what Arrowhead Transit is as a company. And I realize we might have some sound problems because this is a video that I'm about to show you, which is fine. So maybe we'll just get a microphone there real quick. Okay. Building all of the anticipation. It's just a minute-long video that explains kind of who we are as a company, and then we'll dive into the details. Whenever you're ready. Perfect.
Arrowhead Transit proudly serves as Minnesota's largest rural public transportation provider, covering 10 counties in Minnesota. To put that in perspective, our service area spans more than 21,000 square miles. That's 7 times the size of the 7-county Minneapolis-St. Paul metro region. This vast reach makes Arrowhead Transit the second largest rural transit provider in the nation, completing well over 650,000 rides each year. Our services are designed to meet the diverse needs of our communities, offering flexible dial ride options, efficient commuter routes, and dependable schedules. Whether you're heading to work, a medical appointment, or a community event, we're committed to providing safe, reliable, and accessible transportation. Wherever you need to go, Arrowhead Transit is here to connect you to your community.
And we have been successfully doing that for just over 50 years, I'm pleased to say. We are currently 51. We celebrated our 50th anniversary last year, which was a year full of celebration and a lot of fun. So now I'm just going to do a quick brief overview again of the company. The mission of Arrowhead Transit is to provide affordable, safe, and accessible public transportation options to those who seek them and seek independence and self-reliance. One word I'd like to incorporate into this presentation that we've been incorporating into our vocabulary at Arrowhead Transit a lot is the word equitable. Equitable transit-oriented development has been making its way into our dictionary on the regular now, ensuring that each of our public transportation options are designed with everybody in mind, each and every person that could possibly benefit from public transportation, not just those that rely on us, but those that could also benefit from us, whether it's reducing your carbon footprint, using us out of convenience, or potentially relying on us, like I had said. So equitability. Going over those fast facts again, we are the largest rural public transportation, tax-funded rural public transportation provider in the state of Minnesota, and the second largest in the entire United States. which is why we get asked to testify in DC on a regular basis, because we have some significant pull with a lot of different things, which is really, really cool. We operate a fleet of over 120 vehicles on a daily basis, employ over 180 individuals, and we drove over 2.57 million miles last year alone. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So this is us. This is Arrowhead Transit in a nutshell. You can see that we cover over half the Minnesota-Canadian border, all the way down the North Shore, all the way to Chisago and Isanti County, which are the two most northern two counties that touch the northern part of the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro. And then we have a weird kind of western border, but these are our 10 counties. This is what we call home. We have 14 garage locations located across these 10 counties, and this is where all of our 120 vehicles then would be located sporadically throughout there. So this is a part of Arrowhead Transit now. This is what we've been incorporating into our messaging as of late. There's a lot more riding on Arrowhead Transit than just people. And that is something that I want to stress today. The economic impact of public transportation, the convenience of public transportation, and what Arrowhead Transit is doing for this region specifically, because we're located here on the Iron Range, but within North St. Louis County. There's a lot more riding on public transportation than just people. So this is our current economic impact. We operate an annual operating budget of $13.57 million. Our federal share, state share, and local share are broken out as follows. 4.6 million from the federal government, our state share is 8.3 million, and our local share directly from the taxpayers is 679,000. Our staff impact, we have 130 full-time, part-time bus operators, 30 full-time management staff that are located in our corporate headquartered office of Gilbert. Most of them, some of them are spread out over those 10 counties to ensure that all of our team is being represented equally at that management level. We have 21 dispatchers and maintenance staff. Last year, to date, we've driven over 500,000 passenger trips, and our volunteer medical rides program, which I'm excited to talk to you about, has driven over 12,000 volunteer medical rides for non-emergency medical transportation. So where does this money go? 77% of our annual operating budget flows right into the private sector, and this is in a variety of ways. Like I say here, we support 20 plus local businesses on a regular basis, whether that's buying sweets through Cane Lakes Candy or the Ely Candy Store for our staff as an engagement event, t-shirts through Barber Graphics because we have something cool going on and we need some t-shirts for that, or computer systems because we have these bigger computer systems that we need. There's a variety of different ways that we invest right back into our local private businesses, and we ensure that we are buying locally every single time because we are spending tax dollars. We want to ensure that those tax dollars are then being reinvested right back into our local economy. You might be thinking, hey, 10 counties, 21,000 square miles, that's a lot of area to cover. How are you ensuring you're equitably distributing that? We do keep a tally of that and ensure that we're spreading that wealth too, to make sure that we're investing in all of these counties and these communities and buying things in them to make sure that we're supporting them on an equitable basis. And our team is located within 15 different Minnesota legislative districts whom we connect with on a regular basis. We have really great partnerships with all 15 of our Minnesota legislators. And we connect directly with our MnDOT programming and funding on a regular basis as well. So one thing you might notice is that Arrowhead Transit is directly funded by the Minnesota Department of Transportation. All of our funding is passed through from MnDOT. They're the ones that collect the federal money, the state money, and the local money, and then give it to us in the form of a grant. And so therefore, we have a really good working relationship with MnDOT, and we partner with them on a lot of projects for our communities as well. For instance, recently we partnered with the Cambridge-Isanti school system on a grant through MnDOT to do a safe routes to school project that incorporated wheelchair accessibility, safe routes to school in their community to ensure that students who didn't want to take the bus or lived closer to the school district would have equitable access when they were riding in a wheelchair. And that was something that we wrote a letter of support for and talked to our MnDOT team on to make sure that that got through, and we are pleased to say it did. Job creation. This is really cool. We are the only rural agency or publicly funded transportation company in the entire state of Minnesota. And I was at a national conference last week and from what I can tell, the entire country that offers CDL training and testing on site within the entire company, in the entire country, as far as I can tell. I haven't fact checked that, for sure within the state of Minnesota. So what that means is 100% of our team will train on site after they go and get their permit. A permit has to be done at a MnDOT testing facility. That is a state requirement. Once our drivers get that permit, they come back on site, train with our dedicated training staff, and then they test with a tester that we have on site as well. So we make it very convenient, very safe, and very comfortable to test and become a member of our team. And that the only reason we're allowed to do that is because we have such a large fleet, because we have a large team. Are we allowed to do this? Which makes it a lot easier for us to travel to Grand Marais, a remote area where there isn't a testing center. The nearest testing center to Grand Marais would be Duluth. So this is a very nice thing for us, and we appreciate that the state allows us this. And all of our drivers, dispatchers, and maintenance staff are AFSCME represented individuals. So they do have a very active union. Yes, thank you. They are very active within their union, and they are very, very good at working with us. And we do appreciate the partnership that our AFSCME union individuals have with us. They're very good at holding us accountable, and they're also very good at working with us on the projects that we have. So we do appreciate them greatly. So this is what Arrowhead Transit has going for 2025. One of the biggest projects that I'm sure you've heard about on your own is that we are partnering with Minnesota North Colleges on a very big transportation equity project. So the Minnesota North project, inspired out of a conversation of what's good for the Metro has to be good for Northeastern Minnesota, right? So when I was going to school at St. Cloud State University, I was able to get on to the bus there with my St. Cloud State card and ride the bus and public transportation for free. What I thought was for free. There's a minimal student fee attached to my St. Cloud State student account at the beginning of each semester. And from what I remember, it was $9. And that was attached at the beginning of every semester. That was spread evenly over the entire student population. And then everybody with the St. Cloud State ID was able to ride the bus that entire semester. So anytime you had an active ID, you were able to hop on. So this is how that project was born. We approached Minnesota College admin and said, what's good for the Metro is good for us. These students deserve that equitable public transportation access, just like I had when I was going to St. Cloud, just like the University of Minnesota students do, just like the UMD students do. So we want to ensure that we are exploring these options as best we can. One thing I want to note, and that's really cool about this project, is that there's nobody else in the country doing this research. So this is another thing that we'll have the privilege of going to Washington, D.C. to talk about here very soon, is that nobody else is exploring this on the rural level. There is one rural organization that just conveniently happens to be a neighbor of ours, Paul Bunyan Transit, is doing this with Bemidji State. Unfortunately, it's not a very sustainable model of public transportation with the college there. So we are exploring a way to make it sustainable, make it impactful, and make sure that our students see that equitable mode of transportation that allows them to get to each campus on a regular basis, finding more interconnectivity, and just a lot more transit-oriented development for these students. Because what's good for these students in those communities will then eventually impact those living in those communities as well. Any student that hops on and rides a student transit route can also then be accessed by somebody who lives in that community. So this is where we get to the word equitability, is that we're creating that transit system for everybody and ensuring that everybody has access to it. So this is phase one. We're in that research phase right now. We've created brand new tickets for Minnesota North, brand new colors to help with the tracking process. We're tracking that 3 ways, electronically on our buses with the tickets, and then Minnesota North is also assisting us in the tracking process when they sell the tickets to their students. I'm pleased to say that through a Blanding grant, through a match by Arrowhead Transit and Minnesota North, we are able to offer free rides to students this entire semester. Yeah, to get them to ride. Yeah, which is really exciting. So what then that does is we're able to track student patterns. We encourage you to start riding if you're interested in riding in public transit, because then we can access those travel patterns within the communities that we're serving, start making adjustments based on what route needs are needed, and then start recognizing denial trends. So if you seek access to Duluth from Ely, and that's not something that we do currently, we can start tracking those denials and start reporting them to the state of Minnesota, who ultimately is the one who decides where we get to go and where we don't get to go. So because we're funded through them, we have to defend every single decision to them. And that denial log helps us make that process happen. So that's why this process through Minnesota North is so impactful, because it's amplifying those numbers greatly with these denials. We're super excited about that. So if you want to be informed about the Minnesota North project, here's a QR code. I can also just let you know that you can go to arrowheadtransit.com and just search up colleges. And right on that college website of Arrowhead Transit, all of the Minnesota North colleges will pop up, and you can scroll through that list of colleges and just access all of the information, all of the most up-to-date research on what we're doing at each of these campuses and what we think is going to be the next step forward at each of these. So the Vermilion campus has its own webpage on the Arrowhead Transit website. I encourage you to look at it at some point in time. Next, I want to focus on RideSmart, which affects the Chisago and Isanti counties. RideSmart 2025 doesn't directly impact you, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because I want you to dream with me a little bit. We anticipate that this is a project we hope to bring to North St. Louis County at some point in time, and it's very replicable. So the focus of this project is to reimagine public transportation as a whole, and to make it more equitable and more accessible with more efficient routes on a regular basis, while we're reinvigorating the system on an annual basis. So we're constantly reevaluating and constantly staying on top of it through the use of new technology, AI-powered technology, and the communication between the public. So the way that we're doing that now and starting that process is by listening to you, the consumer, analyzing that data, and then reimagining those routes, and then focusing on accessibility, and then bringing this project to life. That's the 5 steps that we're taking to ensure that these Chisago and Isanti communities will see a new version of public transportation that's more equitable and that allows individuals in these rapidly growing and economic development style communities with fast growing housing projects. These communities will see brand new public transportation that's more convenient for those that might just be using us out of convenience and out of a want to reduce their carbon footprint rather than just out of a necessity or out of a need. So that's why this project was born, and we're super excited to start bringing that around the region eventually. This is really cool. The Minnesota Bus Rodeo is a statewide competition. It's an obstacle course where you drive buses through cones, you pick up people in wheelchairs, and you do it all timed. You have to do it safely. And the person who does it the fastest wins wins first place, wins the state title, gets to go to the national competition, right? Right, yeah. You know, the Minnesota State High School League is very jealous of this one and wants to take it away from us, I'm sure. But we are pleased to say that we are among the first rural systems ever to be hosting the 38th annual Minnesota Bus Rodeo. Yeah. It has never been this far north. We are going to be bringing it to Chisholm. And we got to design the logo, so we designed it with the loon in mind. Isn't it gorgeous? Yeah, so the bus, right? It is, and I'm going to talk about that. So we're super excited to host this. We're super excited to bring this to Chisholm. It's going to be at the Minnesota Discovery Center for a couple of reasons, and I'll get to that. But this is going to be a really cool way to show off the region and to show off public transportation as a whole. So this is our economic positioning for that. This is what we think is going to happen. So we anticipate just over 300 people will be visiting the Iron Range, whether they're driving, competing, or family members of those that are participating and competing. So that'll be, that'll have that direct economic impact of hotel space from Hibbing to Virginia, restaurants, so forth, shopping. A lot of really, really cool things there. But what we really, really want to do is share the future of tourism with these individuals, with this random group of individuals who probably would never otherwise come and visit this region. So I'm working hard with Lake County Tourism, with the Iron Range Tourism Bureau, with Grand Rapids Tourism, and with Ely Tourism to ensure that we have enough information about each and every one of you and a representative of each of your communities at these events to ensure that information is passed along to these people about your community so you can show off. Yeah, the Boundary Waters is here, but there's so much more to Ely than just the Boundary Waters, right? I mean, you have a beautiful main street and a lot of businesses that are going on here. And so the Boundary Waters is the draw, but what else do you have and how can you sell it? How can you help sell it? So same thing with all of these other communities that we want to sell to these individuals. So this is just a unique way to bring a different type of tourism to the Iron Range. in a convention style. But this is where the regional impact comes in, the regional local learning aspect of things. So I mentioned it's going to be hosted at the Minnesota Discovery Center for a couple of different reasons. Of course, we want to showcase mining reclamation, how our region is taking a very focused approach to reinvesting millions of dollars in beautifying the spaces that we've carved out in the earth and ensuring that we're showing that off in a kind of a subtle way. The Minnesota Discovery Center, of course, home to Redhead Mountain Bike Park, home to the trolley tours, home to mini golf. We hope to make that either all free or heavily discounted for everybody. So the trolley tours and the mini golf, I'm pleased to say, are going to be free for sure. The mountain biking is, as of right now, discounted. I haven't gotten it all covered for everybody. Paddleboarding and so forth, there's other activities. So that'll be for the tourists, but also then everybody that wants to come to the Discovery Center that day. So if you're a local and you want to just come to MDC that day, your admission will be covered by Arrowhead Transit. You'll be welcome to just go through the museum, go to the Native American Museum that they have there, the Ojibwe Learning Center. It's stunning if you've ever been. It's amazing. And I would highly recommend it. And that's another part of the history that we get to show off too. But so we encourage individuals from the region, and we're going to partner directly with MDC on this and their marketing team to market directly to the locals so that they know that they can come to MDC, participate in all these free events, and then also just happen upon a bus rodeo that's also going on. So that hopefully what will be born out of that is a interest in public transit. Because then we can take that story of this random bus rodeo that's going on in the background and say, by the way, did you know that if your student is playing hockey at Rockridge, we have an activity bus that can get them home from the ITMAC in the evening, right? You can take our Dial-A-Ride home and put your student on that if you're not able to pick them up after work, or if you're not able to get them for whatever reason. That's an opportunity for you, or Hibbing, or so to, a variety of different communities on the Iron Range. Not Ely yet. We're going to get to that. Volunteering. So this is where the volunteer driver program comes in. So we have a volunteer driver program, and we like to refer to it internally as RUBER, okay? Rural Uber. Essentially what it is a flexible way to earn some extra cash and make a difference in your community, okay? So we have an app that you can download on your phone, just like Uber. You apply with our team. We do a background check. We have to do a background check on you. And then you essentially can accept rides or deny rides right in the app, just like Uber. So same thing as DoorDash. I was at Vermilion College and I was told you don't have DoorDash up here. I was almost accosted for that. Sorry. Yeah, right. But this is just a very unique way to have that direct impact on your community. So we reimburse you at the federal mileage rate. Every mile you drive for us, you get 70 cents back on that mile. We work with 4 major insurance providers right now. We're working on expanding that to being private pay. So anybody can download our user app and take this as like a taxi cab service. We haven't figured out how to make that equitable yet. It's really expensive. So we don't know how Uber's doing it right now, how they're able to pay people and come up with a cheap enough fare to make it worth it. So that's something that we're working on internally right now. When that gets rolled out, you better believe I'll advertise the heck out of that. But for right now, we're working with 4 major insurance providers. You log onto the app, you set your hours and your kind of rough hours. When you log onto the app, you can either accept or deny rides. I have had people on my team that have made $60,000 a year volunteering for us. Yep. And I've had people who just make $600 a year because they want to just help out their neighbor who needs to get from my neighborhood of Southside Virginia to the Northside Virginia hospital, right? And they just do that once a week for dialysis or something like that. Yeah. So these are really cool things. We love to connect people with their friends too, if they know of somebody that's going to be utilizing that service. And this is a great program that we're really trying to build up. We'd love to expand to get more rides and make it easier for those seeking those medical rides to have better access to them. So yeah, lots of flexibility in that easy to use app. And there was a card handed around with volunteer opportunities. Feel free to pass that off to somebody. If you're not going to be the one volunteering and you know somebody that might benefit from a side hustle, so to speak, that is what you do. Pass it off. Get somebody to volunteer. Now, I want to talk to you as the rider. So when you're riding Arrowhead Transit, this is how you ride. You identify your route. That's going to be the most common or the most utilized for you, especially in that situation, what you plan on using. So if it's the Ely to Virginia route, which currently only runs on Mondays, you identify that route and you call the 1-800 number to schedule the ride with our friendly dispatch team. Once you schedule that ride, make sure to schedule your return ride as well. That's incredibly important. If you do schedule that return ride and you're not waiting at the bus stop for that return ride, we have a team who will get in touch with you and make sure that we know you're going to be picked up, because Ely's a long way and we don't want to forget you. So make sure to schedule that return ride in advance. Board with a ticket or exact change. If you don't have a ticket, make sure you have exact change. Our bus drivers don't carry change. And clean your space as you exit. Just be courteous to the other people riding around you. Super helpful to our drivers as well when they clean their buses at the end of the day. And then this year's your impact, right, on your community and on your world. You're reducing your carbon emissions, saving on fuel costs, and reducing traffic congestions. Does this apply to Ely as much? Maybe not. Maybe some of my bigger communities, but reducing traffic congestion is incredibly important too. So 3 really big impacts that riding public transit has in your day-to-day life. So yeah. So how can you get involved? This is where I want to talk to you now about those trip denials. Each and every one of you probably could benefit from better public transportation access in Ely. And I know that, and I'm sure you know that. The thing is we have not experienced the demand. We don't get people asking for it. We don't get people calling and complaining. We don't get people saying that they need it or saying that there's a lack thereof. We hear about it through a grapevine, and then it kind of goes away. So my call to action to you is please, I gave you my business card. It has my email, it has my phone. I don't answer 2 a.m. phone calls, but I will answer one any other time of the day. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your story. I want to be able to then tell that story to Adam or share that with our management so we can write and draft a plan and a proposal to MnDOT as why it makes sense to offer more services in Ely. Okay, we would love to help you. We would love to create a more equitable public transportation system up here that better meets the needs of Ely, but we need your help. So that's why we're doing these events, why I'm pleased to be going on the What's Ely podcast after this too, to connect with more individuals. We are getting out in the community, trying to connect with more people as much as possible. Now help us back, please. Get in touch with us, contact us, call that 1-800 number, leave an angry message, preferably not to my dispatch team. They already hear a lot of angry stuff already, but I can take it. Or you can just send me an email and say, hey, we really would benefit from having this service on Wednesdays too, or Wednesdays instead of Mondays to Virginia, or we really need a connection to Duluth, or something like that. The more I get that, the more it's easy to then go to the team down at the state and say, look, this Ely community is really advocating for themselves. And I know you do a great job of that already up here. So if you can extend that into public transportation and we can show you how, then we can start building that equitable public transportation system together that best represents the community, best represents your tourism, best represents what you would benefit from when it comes to public transportation. As far as I understand it, I was on a meeting this week. You don't have actual specialist doctors up here. Most of your specialists are on the Iron Range itself. That's something that I didn't know until recently. And I really appreciated that conversation because that's another talking point that now I can bring to the state of Minnesota when we have these conversations. So getting that from you and sharing that with me again is just so helpful, and it really moves the story forward. We will have some public meetings, some Zoom meetings that you can either attend virtually or in person. We'll host them up here too, and you'll see all about that. I'll make sure that publicity is running in the paper and online and so forth so that you can see when those meetings are happening. And just stay informed. Please follow us on social media. Please get in touch with me. If you want to be on our email list, I can add you to it. We don't send unnecessary emails. We just send important updates, mostly press releases and stuff like that when we have bigger projects going forward. So if you want to be involved in that, please, please, please reach out to me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. And as a thank you for what you have done today, we are going to give you 2 free dial-a-ride tickets and 2 free commuter tickets. So the commuter tickets can be used to get to and from Virginia, and the dial-a-ride tickets are used in town. Okay, so there's a round trip here. Now you have no excuse not to try it out. Okay, So please utilize them. Please try out the system and give me some feedback. Hey, wow, it was terrible. Also, because of that, we believe that you're going to have this positive impact on us. We want to give you some transit champion pins because you are all transit champions to us. So thank you so much.